champions in mid lane. We've already highlighted that both Jovi and Kisei are the ones to keep your eyes on. But this Yasuo, I'm really keen to see how Kisei can pilot this.
Yasuo is always a fun champ to watch, especially with the amount of CC that Ground Zero have, right? I'm looking at this Zac in particular. If he gets one good engage that isn't countered by Gragasy or by an Azir ultimate, you can guarantee Kisei will be diving in there, and he gets so much value from this win wall against this double AD carry comp that even if he does jump in, he can feel relatively safe with the space that he can create through that ability. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these fights play out. It's going to really come down to the kind of engage versus disengage little mini game that will go on between these two rosters.
Certainly will be plenty of little mind games there to try and eke out any kind of advantage, and we've already, I suppose, been demonstrated what happens when that advantage completely snowballs out of control. Just a rogue level 1 trade, and the next minute that lane is completely blown open. Well, let's see. It looked like there was potential murmurs of a level 1 fight with Blitzcrank positioned in the mid lane. Ultimately decides not to go for anything much more than just showcasing that they could have done it. And just going to return back to bot.
Most useless trading of all time is what happens in this top lane here with a Zac versus Gragas, both with Grasp, Door and Shield online for TN. So not really expecting anyone to be forced out of lane here if Doraemon manages his mana correctly. So basically, the usefulness of these two champions is going to come down to how they can part them in team fights. We can already see bot lane level 1. This double AD carry composition that Ion have picked up for themselves is going to enable them to get the push early on, to hopefully get a little bit of wave control, ultimately wanting to stack those 3 waves and either pressure the turret or move into the enemy jungle for some vision.
Let's see if they can and be successful with that objective in mind, right? Obviously being very aggressive in pushing this wave as much as they can, keeping the likes of Lemus and Benvi at bay, but they understand that. They know exactly what the game plan is. They're not going to take unnecessary damage if they can avoid doing so. So they are going to concede this one. Level 2 going across, as to be expected.
Whoa.
Nice cheeky hook attempt, though. We don't mind those.
And that's the thing really in this lane, is that a single hook at any point can be absolutely disastrous for Ion, right? They can play 5 minutes of fantastic League of Legends using the waves correctly, but the second a hook lands, it all goes awry. You start losing summons, you start losing kills, and you start losing the advantage that you've built up. So they're always going to have to be on guard. They're not going to be able to really let themselves recover. As we can see already towards this bot lane, Schönfire is here, but Foreigner's matching his clear speed quite well.
Certainly is, which is promising. Promising signs, especially given that you don't really expect the level 3 classic of a Schönfire gank to take place on a Brand, but if it were, he would be in the right area. Obviously, Brand does still offer a fair bit of CC with his kit, and a whole bunch of damage too. So back to your previous point, right? All it does take is that one hook, and with Flash Up available, you can certainly just look to try and burn that one. Yeah,
I mean, I'm assuming Benvi has the Hex Flash as well, right? So a nice little Hex Flash trade at this point wouldn't go amiss. But wave control back in the hands of Ground Zero. And interestingly, Foreigner's actually opted to head back up towards this top side here for the Scuttle Crab, not wanting to fight. So Ground Zero should have an opportunity after this wave to take a base, get a reset, and hopefully work your way towards that serrated Dirk on Lemus.
Hopefully it work his way back into a position of power is what he'd be hoping for here. As a nice trap acts as a wall, gives the vision to the bot lane of Ion here to realise that, we're actually in a bit of trouble. If that hook connects, then it certainly could be lights out for us, but it does not matter, because a different jungler gank happens in the mid lane. Foreigner's got himself that first blood. Benvi falls on down. Summon Hill just was not enough, and the piercing arrow barely is not enough also to take down Nebula, but they're limping on low HP. Schönfire trying to burn them down. Flash is coming out. Rain of arrows falling
Minions on
down. Flash forward again, and he can't get it too. Will he burn? Is the ignite enough? I don't think it is.
Oh my goodness, what a close fight there. You can see the minions versus the Brand passive working their way to take off those last remaining HP bars. But ultimately, just a nice capitalization from Ion here, right? You can see in the mid lane, you know Yasuo has to be aggressive in this lane if he wants to get waves in. Foreigner notices that, takes advantage of it, and gets the kill. And meanwhile, bot lane, look who the target is that's getting DPS'd here. Nebula creates place with that 90 caliber net to allow Hexflash, who has this barrier, to stand and deliver the damage. And that's what enables this to be a play going in the favor of Ion.
It's just really nice spacing, right? Weaving into those auto attacks, trying to play skill shot simulator, dodge that one, step this one, even cop the damage to the face and still survive. It's phenomenal. But it is also worth noting, despite us missing that first blood and catching it.
Or it was a matter of mechanics. We come back to life here. You can see Hexflash getting out towards this mid lane, making sure that any pressure in this lane is going in favor of the blue side.
Well, it gets even worse now because of this caught wind of Hexflash achieving the blue buff, right? A blue buff Ash is just volley after volley. It's going to be unrelenting. It's going to be pretty annoying to try and deal with as well. Out comes the Hawk shot, revealing that, yep. In fact, Ground Zero are looking to try and take some of these Void Grubs, as to be expected of a brand, but we're going to deny them of getting much more than just one.
Yeah, and it's just the support difference there, right? You can see Benvi was still hovering in that bot side river, not able to actually get up on the same pace as the Ash, who has those tier 2 boots completed. So a nice little use of that support tempo advantage to take those 2 Void Grubs in their favor.
Wonder what they're thinking then with the clear indication that we didn't want to rotate our support up on that occasion. Sure, like a Blitzcrank may not be as strong in the roams as a Ash would be. It does mean that you can certainly own this bot lane in that 2v1. Maybe having a similar story there in terms of building up a huge CS lead, which is already the case, right? We're already double again in favor of Lemus on this Varus.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. Feels like any lane Varus is picking, it's going to have a good go of things. But Nebula actually being very respectful here as the mid lane is just going to use ultimates to trade there. But it's really well played by Nebula, right? Doesn't want to take the risk here. Obviously sees Brand towards that top side, knows that it's probably not going to be a 3 versus 1 dive, but still doesn't want to take any risk that he could get hooked by Benvi, lose his HP and then lose his TS anyway. So waits for Hexflash to come back to the lane. The cost of that will be, however, this Dragon in favor of Ground Zero.
It certainly will be. You can deny us from one thing, but you can't take it all. So they'll be very happy with that one. It's worth noting that Benvi has that Hexflash up and available, and will no doubt be looking to use that one on Cordan. As I say, there it right is. So
perfect timing.
Ready to rock and roll and make sure that he can try and bait out some summoners from his opposition.
Yeah, that's the important thing here, right? Is taking advantage of this window when Nebula doesn't have flash. In competitive, obviously timing those summoner spells, so you have a pretty firm idea of when that's up. The Chain of Corruption is on. It
certainly is on, but Benvi's, oh, that's not what you want there, mate. He's hit the minion, and I'm sure Lemus is giving him a bit of scolding right now. But maybe, just maybe, they're actually kind of grateful because that would have been a jungle gank.
Yeah, unfortunately that minion is an absolute hero from the side of Ion and blocks that hook, but you can see towards the top lane, Tien forced to flash. I imagine he procced the aggro with his Barmy Cinder and then ate an absolute ton of CC.
He's just gone for the ult, just actually life leech back up, hasn't he, at this point? He said these two should just be fighting it out for the grass stacks, and they are just the battle of sustain more than anything.
Yeah, low HP on Zac is always so deceptive, right? The amount of health you get back from your blobs is just absolutely ridiculous. In conjunction with the fact that you don't really cost much health at that stage to really use those abilities. So really good champion to be in low health. And even though Doraemon is fairly healthy, his lack of mana means that Tien is actually the victor in this exchange.
He certainly is. Such a strong champion for that prime reason. It's still worth noting, and I suppose congratulating also for Foreigner with his great work in this game. He's really been keeping up on tempo with the farm that this brand has achieved. And also with that first kill too. This is the perfect start for a Viega, right? This is what you want. You want to explode into a strong position and certainly not replicate the 0-6 Zen.
Yeah, certainly having a much better run of things at this stage, right? I think it helps the fact that you're not constantly having to bail out one of your lanes. It certainly is nice to have a mid laner that you can play around. As we see Jovi getting aggressive, he's used his Q, Skimmy.
He certainly has. Oh, good dash away though, dodging out that hook. That could have been a bit of a disaster there, but Schoenfire is aggressive in the jungle, cutting off the second support, keen to rotate up into the mid lane. There will be no assistance from him today. He might even be forced to go back to base, because I feel like that's a bit of a risk to take if you go down to bot side. But here we go, looking for more. Foreigner! Oh my gosh, he had to flash that one, but one more tick would have done it.
Ion are so lucky this game with the amount of times they've escaped on low HP from a burn there, but you can see once again this jungle support linking up from the side of Ground Zero, making it really hard for Foreigner to even walk in, eating a full brand combo every time. And Lemus,
he's found the hook this time. Lemus, oh, and look at that. He gets the kill onto Hexflash, who we already said was very low and shouldn't be there, but then the hook onto Nebula burning a flash. That's what Blitzcrank's designed to do.
Kisei Tornado lands. He did have the last breath available as Schoenfire.
Oh, that's a beautiful flash there, completely baiting out Jovi. Too much time to try and put that one together, but he completely read it.
Read him like an absolute book here, and the present... Oh, as we have another kill in the bot lane. Lemus on this Varus, 40 CS up. It feels like this champion, once ahead, is so hard to stop.
Just looking at the player camera, you can see a cheeky little smirk on his face thinking, you can have whatever you want. I will just lock in Varus and I'll just still win.
Feels like it right now, as you can see the Ion wanting to stem the bleeding here, wanting to get up towards these grubs, but Benvy's here and Ash isn't.
It certainly is. Benvy doesn't have the ultimate to try and silence him right now, but it doesn't matter. He's still got the hook, and that hook means it's easy for Kiste to use that last breath, get that kill, and have the boys to back him up. And this time, you're not denying these void grubs.
It's all starting to fall apart for Ion here. They played such a meticulous early game, but it feels like that one little invade into the bot side was too much. The pressure from these solo lanes, both getting shot into their turrets, as Jovi forced back to his tier 2 turret because of this Blitzcrank.
Yeah, the cross map arrow there, not enough. The timing, a little bit too late there as the pressure in mid lane. It already pushed Jovi back, as you said. And look, we're starting to find the makings of a Ground Zero snowball once more, right? 11 minutes into this one, up by 2,500 gold. And we'll see exactly what went wrong here, because for all intents and purposes, Limus is gone. He's going back to base, but we know, like in last game, he wants farm.
No.
And why is the 90 caliber net gone that way? He's handed him a freebie.
Oh, he's panicked, Skimmy. Like you said, he probably assumed Limus had based there, not really respecting the damage to come out, and just a panicked 90 caliber net. And now this is a Varus sitting on a Yomu, sitting on a serrated Dirk, compared to just a Noon Quiver and a Kerchier Shard on this Caitlyn.
Yeah, we've seen this story before. We know how this ends. A Varus this far ahead this early on just snowballs out of control. I think the difference last game was like 2.5 items over his opposition. It's sad. Yeah, it's rough to say the least right now. So it feels almost like the Blitzcrank experiment has, to a degree, been fairly successful, but for that very first play that happened with everybody coming together. And now underneath the turret, they're going to go for another turret plate, and they've forced the attention of Foreigner again to say, please help us. Out comes the cleanse, no chain of corruption, no blight, one shot today. Good flash from Hex as he gets himself out, burns double himself. It almost feels like you need to plant your bot lane mid now.
Yeah, I mean, you need to escape the situation somehow. All Benvy needs to do is really just stand next to the wave, wait for Limus to poke, and you know good things will happen, right? Nebula has to cleanse the chain of corruption. He knows he will get killed as the hook.
Nice,
narrowly misses.
Good trying to crystal arrow from the base coming out there, but this is what Foreigner's been drafted as champion for. He's here to play cleanup. He becomes the Blitzcrank. And he's looking to be the heartbreaker right now, but Schoenfire posturing position, ready to take them all on in a 1v3. Doesn't have the luxury of a flash this time, but Jovi's not even going to hit that Empress Divide. He's going to get stunned, burned, and patted on down, uses it as an escape tool, as he's so concerned here of Kiste, who steps on a trap, realizes he can't do much more than that, and will come falling on down, distraught and despair, but Nebula's got a kill.
Finally, Ion stemmed the bleeding. They managed to find that return play. Crucially, however, they don't take down Limus. It was a bit of a jump scare mechanically from Doraemon after he TP'd in, but purely the numbers advantage is able to secure them those kills, and much needed to get this Caitlyn back into the game.
It certainly was much needed, and that's helped to stabilize what was about to become a rather ballooned open gold lead here for Ground Zero. Also worth noting that he entered a much stronger performance here in the top lane with a sizable CS lead. But we'll see how it all starts initially, because the arrow that comes across after the hook, but it's been Foreigner being in the right place at the right time. Yeah,
it's Benvy getting a little bit overconfident, not realizing the minions were dying, and that's going to result in him going down. It gives the Blitzcrank body over to Foreigner, and crucially that gives him the one reset. Whilst Doraemon's busy missing every spell that he has, you can see Jovi gets down on towards Schoenfire and kills him off, allowing these low HP members of Ion to actually get back into this, right? You can see the second reset coming through, giving Foreigner that brand body to play with as well. And all 5 members of Ion commit, but all 5 of Ion members are rewarded as well.
They certainly are. All get a bit of gold, a bit of assist money for their efforts, and look, it helps. It certainly does help, but it still needs so much more, because you're still absolutely terrified about the fact that Limus has found himself in that same position again, up by this amount of gold. Nearly 7,000, only 14 minutes. And again, he's got that 2-item spike, and you're just thinking it shouldn't be this easy.
Yeah, it feels too easy for Limus at this stage now, and you do wonder where Ion are going to try to attack him. You can see that any time that he's with this Yasuo, landing an arrow will be really hard, right? But if he's by himself, there is no cleanse actually available, so there is always a window where they could just throw a Hail Mary arrow and try to take him down. But they succeeded with the 5-man before the side of Ion did, and it looks like they're trying to go for that again. They're all on this control ward.
Just a bit of a jump scare right now, but Schoenfire's not going to fall victim to the 1-3, chucks up that one, actually flashes into the Ash arrow, gets hit by the bomb, but doesn't really care, because they say, we've got a Blitzcrank, we've got a hook, and we've got a kill target. You've all been silenced, you can't flash away. If you do flash now, it's a little bit too late. Double for Limus, absolute Australian sniper here getting it done. And all that Doraemon and Jovi can do is look at their team and say, guys, we're not winning even with the face check tech.
They tried to pull an ambush, but it was them that actually ended up getting ambushed themselves. You can see the second that Brand W lands, Ion tried to pull the trigger, but simply their engage is not cohesive enough. The Ash arrow hits, but it hits a target who's already flashed away, creates the distance. Then the Gragas E misses, and suddenly you have nothing to start the fight, and all you can do is watch as this Varus absolutely unleashes on your team.
He certainly does. 5-0, 1K shutdown. We're barely halfway into this game right now. They'll finish what they started. Initially, it was all about this rift out. They've guaranteed it now with all 5 members here. The question becomes, where do they look to go next? Because it all starts with Schönfire saying, this looks a little bit too sus.
Yeah, definitely looking a bit too suspicious there. You can see the nice little flash to create distance. A dodge from Benvi as well means that all that initial engage has failed. And look at Tien on the backside, just bouncing around. This Zac is basically unkillable at this point, so he can just jump in, wait for the rest of his team to get in, and Jovi narrowly escapes.
Certainly do. And they'll be happy that they were able to keep themselves intact, because it feels very much like the Foreigner show right now. They need a stun, a hook, a kill of any kind of magnitude here to make sure that this Viego can run with it. But it's a squishy champion, very susceptible to the CC, and needs that time to ramp things up, especially when we saw the likes of the Kraken Slayer Viego come out to play. It's not going to be anywhere near as easy now, as those you quite rightly point out, right? Tien, when he bounces on their head, all that lifesteal, I mean, he's healing all the damage you're doing.
Yeah, at this point, right, you have a Caitlyn who only has Stormrazor. You have an Azir who's decently strong on this Nash's Tooth, but still not really going to be able to get through this Zac anytime soon. And so any 5v5 becomes really problematic, right? Ion needs to start looking at other avenues to actually gain a foothold back into this game, whether that's a side laning Azir with an Ash arrow over the top of his head, because right now, anywhere that Ground Zero move with numbers, they control.
They certainly do, and they know they have all this freedom on the map to rotate as they please, right? 3 towers to nothing. They're just roaming and replanting vision to say that your line of defense goes thinner and thinner and further back towards the safety of your fountain. But that's not where they can be. They need to sort of set themselves up with these continued ambushes, if you will, of targeting lanes and not just having one person there, but multiple. But they're getting scouted out, right? There's the Bloom once more. They're not falling victim to any of these shenanigans that Iron are throwing at them, as Doraemon jumps on in with the self-cast of the ult on his head. There is no escape as he falls down.
And it's a little bit of disrespect there coming out from Doraemon, right? He knew that they were making a play on the top side of the map as Schönfire has a second go, and this time he successfully drives it into a turret there. Will only be the one charge though, so just the single second tier in the mid lane going down, but nonetheless, ever so slightly, they are progressing this game.
They are progressing the game, and I was having a bit of a chuckle there. You can see Tien with one hand out. He's thinking, what else can I hit to try and bring these two together? It wasn't to be, and they're going to have to settle for that 4th turret. Not a bad one to pick up, but Hex Flash. He nearly got jump scared, but he observed a toggle. But Kisse, he's on the hunt. He's found his target. He's narrowly missed out as a fantastic disengage comes out there from the Caitlyn.
He cast the base animation as well, Skimmy. He wanted to hit that base and then cast the ult and kill him. I just love... It's not even that much of a blowout at this stage, but Kisse just always plays like it is.
He certainly is. He's always one to believe in himself and one to try and seek out those pop-off opportunities. You can see Foreigner right now being fairly aggressive, actually, going into the enemy jungle. There's nobody here to back him up apart from Hex Flash, which is going to reveal that vision to Kisse, who says, well, I can take you down. Lock out that volley with the wind wall. 4-level difference. Good luck surviving this, and they're going to try and scramble. Yes, we've got their red buff, but we've got to escort them out with 2 others.
And it's interesting, the Edge of Night picked up here first for the Ashe, right? So really prioritizing that ability to not get hit by those Blitzcrank hooks, to remain safe even in these skirmishes. But Benvi could look at Jovi. There is a stun disc. He might get scooped.
He might get scooped. Maybe there's indecision as to who to go for or punish him. But in the end, he gets tricky with it. Flashing across the wall, hits the hook, finds the target. This Hex Flash. Nice spell shield, but it doesn't matter because I still got you anyway. In comes Tien, bouncing, blobbing, and still full HP. Double kill for Schönfire as the Fed members of Ground Zero rock up to the party and have their sights locked on this Azir. He's got no ultimate. He's just burnt Flash. He's got a bunch of mobility, but they're still running him down.
Yeah, running him down they will. It's a desperation TP, but that gets spotted out. It's Skimmy. It's 20 minutes. The Baron's just spawned, and I think it's just going to die.
It really is. As soon as it spawns, it falls on down. It's a perfect ace. into a Baron to end this one. They got 3 dragons as well. I mean, it's really them looking for the perfect game.
Yeah, I mean, they find his initial pick onto Benby here, but crucially, he does have the flash, right? Yes, it's a trade 1v1, but the thing that really turns this is just the bouncy house. I mean, look at how long these 2 members of Ion are locked up for. It's a Yasuo, that's a Zac hitting them with every single bit of CC he has in his kit. And this is all before Lemus arrives, mind you, right? The second this Varus pulls up, you know that the fight is completely over. All that's left is to chase down Jovi, who honestly, if he keeps running, I think he might be able to get out.
I feel like there is a world in which you can continue running and you play the guessing game as to way go up or down from that top tri-bush, but felt like he had enough time to potentially run away with the TP in that pixel bush. But yeah, if it wasn't for those pesky stuns, he may have just got out of this one. Jovi is going to try and take the fight to Kiste. He's had a crack at it, but Kiste adds insult to injury and hits him with the 10% ultimate in his face, pops the shield and says, try again. Out comes the ultimate from downtown, but Nebula, not enough damage, and especially not when a teammate's there to block.
Look at Lemus though, Skimmy is hunting.
He is hunting. Training options not landing, however, but Nebula is the target once again. Hooking for the easy double kill. And Tien says, I can be as fit as you. He's 5-0.
They're having fun with it at this stage. Nowhere that Ion go are they safe. Even under their own turret, Kiste takes a trade, baits Jovi into thinking that he can kill him. And suddenly Tien is there to help him out to secure that double kill. And now that double kill snowballs into 4, snowballs into an inhibitor.
It certainly does. And they've got a dragon to look forward to try and really wrap things up in 2 minutes. But the Baron has been successful. They've acquired themselves nearly a 13k gold lead. And you really have to wonder, you know, what a team like Ground Zero can try and take away from this one, because you'd imagine it's all about the core fundamentals.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like ever since they got a foothold in this game from that early invade, they have just been non-stop on the pressure. I mean, look at how low Kiste is, ulting back in here, has the confidence to say that he won't go down, and the hook on top of it to add insult into injury. So really, just a really cohesive movement from Ground Zero around the map, right? You can see they're bringing their members everywhere, and now they're bringing them to the top side.
They still are. Look at that damage. Piercing onto 2 from Lemus. His champion, his set, it's unethical at this point. Hook, narrowly missing as Doraemon skirts out of harm's way, but Hex Flash ceases to exist. He's on my screen, but not for much longer right now. He should be back in the fountain. He has no HP, and the rest of their base is soon to have none as well, as they're going to turn their attention into the mid lane. Top's being primed and ready as well. And this is them going for that systematic and chronological of, let's just take every single inhibitor and really make sure there's no way out.
Yeah, Jovi's going to be forced to base to respond to the remaining waves that are on the side of Ground Zero here. Their third inhibitor will fall, and there's a decent wave in top side. Looks like they want to go for something here.
One hook to start it off, they found their target, they get their kill. Instantly Hex flashes out of the fight as Kiste picks that one up. The 2 turrets are dead, the Baron is still intact, it's about to fall off now. So no Baron-inspired cannon minion here, but it doesn't really deter them because they're up by so much gold back. There's not much more to say. They're literally playing around Blitzcrank hooks and fighting to steal the kill off one another. 1 tower remains before Ion can get put out of their misery. 20 kills to 7, and they're going for a speed run here. 26 minutes was game 1. They're looking to try and do it quicker here in game 2, but Foreigner has something to say. He's just found 1 reset. He'll get a second shutdown as he becomes the brand, but that's a step too far. He's a little bit too squishy, and he can't do much more to answer back. But Kiste is hacking and slashing his way around and fighting with Lemus for the kills, who puts a bow on it, hits the ace, and for me, has been the star of the show.
Lemus has absolutely put on a clinic here in game 2. Ground Zero as a whole have their fun with it, and what